All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Your Website is Not a Business Card, How to Build a Site That Actually Works. I'm excited to be able to share part of the day with you all, along with my partner, Azaniah. My name is Israel Green. I'm the president of the Chicago chapter of the National Black MBA Association and also the founder and chief strategy officer for Mosaic Works. We are a consulting and training firm focused on leadership development and diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy. And I am excited to be able to co host today's conversation with my fellow chapter president, Azaniah, who leads our Austin chapter. Azaniah, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Azaniah Israel, and I am the president of the National Black MBA Association Austin chapter. And I also am a consultant. I have a consulting agency called Sirach Consulting, where we focus on technology consulting. And we actually have a digital marketing franchise called WSI that stands for We Simplify the Internet, where I serve as the chief strategist and owner of that agency.
Love that. Thank you. So if you're watching this, you're in good company. We definitely have a lot of details to share with regards to the website. Before we jump in, I want to quickly share why we thought this conversation mattered. As entrepreneurs, so many of us say, you know what, I need a website. But what we're really meaning is, I need more clients or I need more credibility. I need people to understand what I do. I need my business to feel real and feel legit. And somewhere along the way, websites turned into this digital business card instead of actual business tools. So today is not about trends, fancy fonts, or what looks cute on Instagram. This is about how your website actually works for you or why it might not be working. And this is a beginner friendly conversation, no jargon, no shaming, no assumptions that you already know this stuff. Our goal today is clarity and confidence. So you walk away knowing what matters and what to stop stressing about. I'm excited to be able to dig into this with you. You ready?
Hey, I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, cool. So my first question for you is, what do people really mean when they say, I need a website?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And you hit on some of those things as you were, introducing the question. But the real thing that they're trying to say is, what problem am I really trying to solve? Most businesses are trying to solve $1 million problem with $100 solution. So
Mm,
what do I mean by that? Evidently, we're all going into business to make money. Nobody wants to replace a job with the job, make less than they could have made at a 9 to 5. You want to turn it into a profitable business engine. And for many of us, that means we probably want to hit that $1 million mark and beyond. But we tend to do that with band aid solutions, quick fixes. And if we really think about what our goal is not to just have a website to say we have one. It's because we want growth. We want to grow our business from a small number of clients or no clients if we're just starting to a consistent number of clients to a consistent type of client that fits our ideal profile. We want to showcase our credibility. We want to show that we are consistent and we stand out above other businesses in some way. And so instead of addressing the positioning, the messaging, and the customer flow, they jump right into the statement or phrase, I need a website. So don't get me wrong, you do need a website, but you need to know why you need a website. You need to know a lot of different things, consider a lot of different things before building it, because that's like saying, Israel, I need a car, but you don't have a driver's license yet. So the website becomes a shortcut But if you don't fix the foundational problems, that's what they should be asking about. That's what they should be thinking about before saying, I need a website.
I love that you said that because I see this all the time. People think the website is the goal, but the website is really just the middleman. It's a means to an end.
Mhm.
And like you said, it's trying to solve a business problem. I love your phrase of you're trying to solve $100 million or $1 million problem with $100 website. It's trying to solve a business problem, not a design problem. So we got to keep that in mind as we go through this. The building on that, what's the biggest mistake you see entrepreneurs make when they're building or redesigning their website?
They focus on aesthetics, visual appeal first and foremost, and sometimes only. Israel, you ever heard the phrase or the idiom putting lipstick on a pig?
Yeah.
You cannot think that because it looks good to your eye, you made a comment, if it looks cute on Instagram, just because it looks good on the outside doesn't mean it's going to perform well on the inside. So they need to consider fixing the real issues. Is it that they don't have a conversion strategy? Do they have weak trust signals? Or like, what does the redesign actually aim to fix? And if you just make it look better, it's a new design that doesn't fix a broken strategy.
Mm, I like that. I want to normalize this for people that are listening. Most people don't make this mistake because they're careless. They make it because nobody ever explained how websites actually function in a business context. So when you're talking about, do you have the click-through rates? Is it converting? Is it solving that problem that you're looking for? So I'm glad that you mentioned that. People focus a lot on how the website looks, whether it's the fonts, the colors, the lipstick on the pig piece, the animations, all of that. If looks are not the top priority, what should business owners actually be prioritizing instead?
Yeah, they should be prioritizing clarity, flow, trust, and action. Because if it's not clear what you do for the people who are jumping onto your website, or what they should do next after they've gotten the information that you've provided, the design won't save you, and you won't be able to convert someone who is on your site into a customer.
It's a nice reframe. So I heard you say clarity, flow, trust, and action.
Yes.
It's less, does this look good, and more, does this make it easy for someone to understand? Like you said, does it make it easier for someone to trust me and be able to take action, and buy from me? There are, thinking about platform breakdowns without the tech overwhelm. This is where people get stuck fast, I believe. I know I did with our website. Can you break down the major website platforms out there? I know that we've got WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, Shopify, um, Beacon, all these different ones, and who each one is actually best for. I know you can't go through all of them, but like maybe the top three.
Yeah, so I'll speak to WordPress first. WordPress is one of the most popular website builders there is. The majority of your big companies, Fortune 500 included, are using them. They generally have been noted to have about 80% of the market share across a lot of different um, surveyors. And the main benefit and value of WordPress is its modularity to be able to add a lot of different things and its ability to manage content. So, content is king right now, as you may know. Mainly people think about it through social media, but it's also important to have good content on your website because that is what draws the traffic when you go through a search engine or when you are even using your AI platforms to get led to a site. So WordPress is really great at that, is the king in that area. But then you have you what you see is what you get type builders, which WordPress has that, but it's not as DIY friendly as some of the others could be, such as a Wix or a Squarespace, and even a Shopify at times. So if you're looking for something that is easy for you to DIY it, Wix tends to be a king in that space. And if you're focused on e-commerce, a Squarespace or more so a Shopify tends to be what people gravitate towards because the things that are built on the back end are e-commerce first and then aesthetics second.
Okay. So just depending on, I'm assuming kind of what the goal is. If you're selling product, if you are pushing content, that's kind of when it's going to come into play on what we're trying to do. And if I'm hearing you correctly, I what I'm hearing is like there is no necessarily best platform until you've identified what your overall goal is that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, so it all comes down to budget, timeline, goal, those type of sales strategy ideas. So when they're trying to sell their product to you, you're going to get caught up by those things. But your strategy makes a key difference. They all do pretty much the same things. Some just do certain things better than others, or at least it does it better natively without adding additional tools or going to third party tool sets. But all in all, in my opinion, professional opinion, WordPress tends to be the best overall when you're trying to scale and grow and turn into an enterprising organization.
Okay. And I heard you mention the do-it-yourself piece. This question comes up constantly. How should a business owner decide whether they should build their own site or hire a professional? When should they make that determination?
Yeah, so your website directly impacts your credibility, right? Your revenue, your growth. This isn't a place for you to experiment. So if this is not your major skill set, it's always best for you to go and find a person who is a professional in that field. Just like, yes, you can change your oil on a car, but if this is the only car you have and you're not a great mechanic, do you really want to go start taking things apart under the hood, or do you want to take it to a professional, pay the fee, get it in and out quickly so you can get back to what you do well? That's how I look at it.
Picture somebody having their car all torn apart and trying to put it back together and have these pieces left over, talking about, oh, where did these go? Um,
And I got
trying
to
to
be
do
the
it
one.
all yourself. Yeah, exactly. The distinction between learning mode and growth mode, I think, is extremely important and huge. A lot of frustration comes from trying to shortcut clarity and trying to save money. And that's one of the reasons why people are like, oh, let me just throw this together. But people don't realize the exchange for time versus money. And, it may take you a week to do my website. Whereas if I'm doing it on my own, it's probably going to take me a month, if not longer. And I'm still going to be missing all those things that are important in terms of site speed, clarity, the storytelling, the concepts around it as well. What does if we're talking about results, what does it actually mean for a website to be effective, and how can someone tell truly if theirs is working? Now, and I don't mean it's like, all right, you hear the cha-ching coming through and you get, you've got sales coming in every minute. But if you're not doing direct sales with a product on there, how do you know that your website's working? Like how, getting your name out there? Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So it all goes back to your goal. As a business owner, you have to know what you're trying to give to the people, what service you're providing, what product you're providing, and how they're going to access and consume that product. So, we're a nonprofit, right? Through National Black MBA. We're not really selling a product, but we are selling an experience. We are selling relationship. We are selling advancement. And you got to figure out how to quantify that. We quantify that through membership growth and attendance to our events, right? So it would be about the lead generation. So how many people are coming to your site versus how many are actually then taking action, dealing with whatever call to action you may have, like register for this event. And that becomes a conversion. Now, if you have a site that has any type of comment boards or buttons to click of some sort, or downloads to make, then you want to talk about your engagement. So not only are they joining your site or visiting your site, but then for any call to action that is there, they are taking that action and doing that thing that you have called them to do. And then lastly, I would call it, measurable behavior, which is you've broken down and taken them through a flow or a process, and they actually follow the process. Because it's one thing to land on the homepage, it's another thing to dive deep into the website and click through multiple pages, spend time on those pages reading them. So if you are effective in your website, you'll be able to track those metrics, analyze those metrics, and then make decisions off of those metrics because you want to turn clicks into customers and data into decisions.
Love that. I love that you said data over my framing data over the vibes. Feelings are not metrics, and it's important to be able to understand what the end goal is. So it does go a bit. I saw someone mention views in the chat. It goes a bit beyond the views. It's converting those views into something more tangible. It, how do search engines and AI tools see a website differently than the naked human eye? And why does that
Yeah.
matter for business owners right now?
So when you step back and think about the different search engines, obviously Google comes to mind first. Uh, we don't hear as much about Bing or Yahoo. Is that even still a thing anymore? Right.
Yeah.
But the search engines see structure, they see clarity, and they see intent. So not just the search engines, but also AI now. So your Chat GPTs, your Grok, your Perplexity, all of the different LLMs that we're using, they are looking at it from a structure, clarity, and intent purpose. But as humans, we are stuck on design, at least initially. For those of us who can get past what we see first and then start thinking about how does that matter, how does that play into my decision making process, it makes a lot of sense. But the majority of us, that's how we see it. So you can't design your way into visibility. You have to, again, I said that comment earlier, the idiom, putting lipstick on a pig. uh, you have to address the pig. Oh, this is a pig. Is that what I actually want? Because I can't make it any more beautiful. No matter how good it looks on the outside, it's still what it is. So you have to merge those two. You have to have a human eye, but you have to have a technical thought process. And at WSI, we like to say, embrace digital and stay human.
Mhm. I love that. Embrace digital, but stay human. When you think about all of the different components to the website, and there's one piece that I hear people talk about is the Google Analytics. Can you tell me a little bit more about like Google Analytics and what does that look like? What does that mean? Should we be looking at that when we were talking about the data, or is there
Yeah.
something else we should be looking at?
So there's a lot of things that you should look at. Google Analytics is one of those things, which really goes back into that effectiveness in regards to leads, conversions, engagement. So Google Analytics tracks that. If you have Google Analytics installed on your website, which you can do it on all of those platforms that we talked about earlier, but there's more of a robust ability for you to tailor those metrics to your liking, in my opinion, through a WordPress because of its content management flow. You can really get it granular. Um, this is the place where you're seeing the action, where you're actually seeing the proof of what's happening. Because someone said in the comments, views, views sound good, but let's go to YouTube and think about the fact that if you're not viewing the full video, it's an hour-long video, and you got a thousand 10-second views, is that good
Hmm.
if no one even watched your video? So it's the same thing on a website. If you have a lot of hits to your website but no one's actually doing anything with it, is that good? Or is this real traffic? Are these bots, or are these real people from a zip code in the area that you want to see it? Because that's another thing that you can track through analytics, is the demographics of the people who are visiting. You can track the zip codes. You can track, depending on which platform you're using, outside of Google Analytics, but like a Facebook Pixel and things like that. you can start tracking metrics that help you make those decisions. Because it would also be bad, Israel, if you in Chicago have a local business that you want people to come to, but the majority of your traffic is in Germany.
Yep. And I see that quite often. Like I get excited about some hits, and then I see that it's from India. That tells me right away that something's off. And something that a tool that I really do like and appreciate, if you're familiar with it, is Hotjar. And it can really tell you where that engagement is on your website. So as you're talking about, are they hitting the different pages? Are they hitting the pages that I need them to hit? Which one is getting more eyes and more activity, and how much time they're staying on there? So with this Hotjar piece, you can see like this big red area, and it says, okay, you know what? People are really spending time here. They're hovering their cursor in this area. So it lets me know that there's something either there that's really good, or maybe something I need to tweak. But I wish more people did take a look at the data and respond to what the data is telling them.
Absolutely.
I want to make sure that we get some questions from those that are watching. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to pop it in the chat, and we'll take those questions as we go through as well. But if a business owner could fix just one thing on their website this month, what would you say it should be? Where's that biggest bang for their buck?
The biggest bang for the buck would be a clear call to action. So that may be call now, that may be book a meeting, but making that call to action something that has very few barriers to completing. That's important because many times we want to capture a lot of information up front. So we'll put up a form and you'll have to answer 20 questions before you get to the next step. And a lot of people are interested, but the moment you put those barriers in place, that causes them to tune out or not complete, and then you miss out on that lead. So capture that lead as
Me,
quick as
I'm
possible.
those lot of people.
Yeah, yeah. And it's frustrating, right? You may be doing something from your cell phone, you have a few minutes in between something, and you just want a quick piece of information, but they ask you 20 minutes worth of questions. So you have to cut back on that and figure out how to get someone in front of you, how to get them on the phone, and then you can phase your questions into a conversation after you've gained their interest and got the fish on the hook.
Yeah. Thinking about entrepreneurship and people starting their business, the majority of the time it's bootstrapped, and we're looking at ways to save money. Is this one of those areas where you believe that we should, you know, cut back on money, or what is a good budget, I guess, for someone that is trying to get their website stood up without breaking the bank, but still getting it done right? What should they expect to pay?
That's a loaded question. That's a hard question to really answer because it really goes into what you're trying to accomplish. Um, so what you do, what you're trying to accomplish, what your timeline is, all plays into it. But I see a lot of people who are caught by the marketing that says you can build your website for $10 a month. That gets them in a DIY situation. You're paying $10 a month to a GoDaddy, to a Wix with these website builders. And yes, it was inexpensive in the beginning, but after X amount of time, you've really just wasted that fee because you didn't get anything profitable. So if you want to get it done right from the beginning, I would say consider having a budget, um, maybe around 2K to get started so that you get everything done right. And I mean more than just the physical website. I mean the aesthetics, the marketing, and the copy, if you will, making sure that it's SEO optimized. Because what good is there having a website on the internet if the search engines will never lead you to it?
Yeah.
That's why you made the comment earlier, I believe. It's become a business card because the only way someone will even go to my website is if I give them my business card and tell them to go to it, and I have to physically shake their hand.
Hmm.
We have to think of this, Israel. Our website's like an employee. and we want it to work and earn its keep. So if you are paying an employee a couple $1,000s a month, you expect them to, 10x that in their productivity. Your website should be the same. So the more you put into it, think of it like an employee, the more you should be able to get out of it.
Love that analogy. Thinking about it like an employee and getting that return on the investment in terms of what it's producing back to you. I think that's a great way to frame it. TR Jackson just mentioned or asked, when we talk about flow, what are some of the tips for making sure the website and the email is connected or opportunities for automating communication? Any tool recommendations?
Yeah, so everyone should have a CRM. As a business owner, you need a customer relationship management tool, and you need that tool to work well with any of your other tools, which include your website, which include the social media platforms, which include your email platform. All of that can be brought into one. But that flow, then, for example, going back to what's the one thing that somebody should fix first, having an effective call to action. Once that call to action button is clicked, right? It may be fill out a form, it may be make a phone call. That needs to be tied in with your CRM so that you get that information into that CRM quickly and so that a person can make that phone call, that follow up email, or even with automation, send the resource or the tool immediately. You may see in the comment sections on social media, comment this keyword and I'll send you my PDF. It's a flow, it's an automation that is causing that to happen, to trigger that to happen. It's not someone manually sending that in most cases. So having all of that working together makes your site much more effective.
Hmm. I know I've gotten caught up in the type vibes here, and we'll send you the 5-step framework. And really, all it's doing is pulling you into their ecosystem. And
Mm-hmm.
data, your email list is one as a small business owner, depending on what you're selling, whether it's B2B or B2C. Either way, that email list is one of the most valuable things that you can have and that you own. It's an important asset. So it's definitely important to be able to have a good CRM behind it, that you're capturing all of that data. A few tools that come to mind for us, we use Zoho CRM, and we use Zoho Mail and the whole suite of products. It's relatively inexpensive for entrepreneurs. Constant Contact. There's tons of CRMs that are out there that are important to use depending on what you're trying to achieve as well, and also whether or not you're B2B or B2C. And what I mean by B2B is business to business or business to consumer. There
Mm-hmm.
is two different pieces in the way that you address those different markets. It's important to understand that as well. So I'm going to do a quick lightning round if you don't mind. Just kind of short answers, no overthinking it. One thing every homepage must clearly answer.
What do you do?
Love that. And I always call that one of my coaches, she describes it as your water is wet statement. It's
Mm-hmm.
like what is the basic statement that you can do, say, and talk about your business that just simplifies every single thing. And it should be as simple as water is wet. Uh,
Absolutely. And
what's
if I
one?
can,
Yeah.
and who you do it for,
Yes.
because we like to say anybody can be our customer, but the shotgun approach rarely works. And if you try to help everybody, you'll end up helping nobody.
Yeah. Pray and spray. It's hard to hone in that messaging if you're trying to talk to everyone for sure. One question people should ask a web designer before hiring them.
Do you offer full service digital marketing?
That reminds me of something that you just said with regards to SEO. There's different types of SEO. There's on page, there's off page. Can you talk a little bit about SEO and kind of how that shows up and what SEO is for those that may be a beginner in this?
Yeah, so SEO is search engine optimization. That is basically what are the keywords that people are searching for that would lead someone to your site. That has evolved a lot over time. People used to just put 1,000 keywords, it didn't even have to make sense. Just make sure the words are there. But Google and all of the leading tech companies have changed the algorithms to say not only does it have to be a keyword, but it has to make sense. You can't overdo it or we'll penalize you for it. And we need to actually think more about the phrase and the way people talk more than the keyword itself. So on page, when you think about your website, it goes into what is on that particular page that you're dealing with, the questions that it's answering that will lead someone directly to that page on your site. I know we want to have a home page, an about, a contact, etc., but this goes back into content. This is why people blog. WordPress was originally designed to be a blogging tool, so being able to write articles that answer questions where people can really understand what they're asking about when they receive that question is key. And that is how the AI platforms are now working. They're reading the articles and giving you an answer based off the articles on your website. So you have to, and I know this is getting long, but this is important. You have to be careful how you title everything, including your pictures and images, whatever files are on the site, because that goes into your SEO. You have to be careful with how you organize the page with your headers and tags that are within that page. That plays into it. It's not just writing and saying whatever comes to mind, it's organizing skillfully.
This is, I would describe this as a science.
It definitely is a science. I know we call it digital marketing now, but this falls within the realm of IT and computer science. We just use some sexier words now, but it's a technical art. It's not as easy as Wix makes it seems, right? It's not as easy as all of the new platforms that make it so easy for anyone to get started make it seem.
And so that's the on page piece. You've got H1, which is that first header, you got H2, H3, and the way that you just framed, make sure it's framed the way that you speak. So the way that people are like, oh, you know what? I really have a problem and I need a leadership development coach.
Mm-hmm.
And people are searching for, I need a leadership development coach. So making sure that framing is there so that it gets picked up whenever they put that into Google, then it pulls up because it's almost verbatim in that situation. People, obviously, there's paid ads, there's off-page SEO where you're paying for the ads there. There's backlinks that tie back to your website, which is equally important, and your website gets a ranking from Google. Are you able to talk a little bit about that ranking and how they rank? What's most important?
Yes. So you have on Google what is called the SERPs page, search engine results page. It's not enough to just have the most popular page anymore to be at the top of Google. And let's take ads out of it for just a second because that muddies the water a bit. But it's about authority, trustworthiness, relevance, and that comes from when we talk about linking, you being talked about by trustworthy, reputable sites. So when you have, from a PR perspective, your name on a news station website or a popular magazine, that's giving you some off-page SEO credibility. When you're linked on all of the major websites, such as a Facebook, such as a LinkedIn, and so forth, that gives you some off-page credibility. But there's a strategy in backlinking, making sure that you go to the right locations, the relevant locations, and show up in as many of those as possible. Even like a Reddit is helpful to getting that off-page SEO. So that's the link building side. The content marketing is all of the things that you're sharing on social media and whatnot, which gives you some off-page SEO and social media marketing. Guest posting. So, let's talk about each other on each other's websites. And that will then give us some cross reference and things of that nature. So it's really a PR thing. It's really about making sure that you're being spoken about in all the other places outside of your website, and then being spoken about positively outside of your own website, going into your reviews and whatnot, things like that.
And there are a lot of tools that people can leverage. Like I just typed in Pingdom, and it basically kind of gives you an idea of your page load speed and gives you a grade based off of what, it's looking for. So it runs a test on your website, and that's pingdom.com. You've got SEMrush, all these different things that can help you make sure that you're in that right space. Load time. So I just pulled up my speaker page, and my load time is 1.36 seconds, which is pretty good. Because I do you off the top of your head, do you know what it should be sub? Is it 3? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry about that. Don't know
Okay.
how I did that, but under 2 seconds is really good. And to speak to the page load, you have to think about what we spoke about earlier, how long it takes us to get to where we're going. If you don't optimize your page because you have too many videos or uncompressed videos and photos, things of that nature, that creates a problem that causes people to walk away. So you mentioned SEMrush. That's one of my favorite tools to use for my clients to help them understand their authority score and their authority score in comparison to their competitors. You're able to see how well your competitors are doing, what keywords they're ranking for, what their page load speeds are, what their traffic levels are, even if they're using paid ads or not. And looking at all of those things, SEMrush will give you an authority score. The higher, the better. Now, obviously, uh, you have to make it relevant to you and your industry and what you're trying to accomplish. So you may not even need to shoot for 100, but that's the top score that something like a Facebook would have. Uh, but in looking at that, you learn all the tweaks that you may need to make to your website from a strategy perspective.
Makes sense. One thing people should stop obsessing over.
That's the views. It's not about going viral. It's about being effective. I'd rather have 100 views and a lot of customers that came out of that than a million views and no customers.
And one thing people should absolutely pay attention to.
They should pay attention to the data that comes out of things like Google Analytics and whatnot, because that's where you make your decisions. You don't make your decisions off of feeling and emotion, and guesses and thoughts, but you make it out of factual data that is presented before you.
And are there any additional tools that you would recommend people think about adding, or is there a CRM that you recommend? I know someone asked that question, and we can type those in the chat.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of HubSpot, and I'm a big fan of High Level for many reasons, but it can be very complex. So I think you mentioned a very good one with the Zoho for something that is a bit more simple. We use Constant Contact, we use MailChimp, we use things like this, but they all only have components and they're trying to add additional features uh, going along. But HubSpot is kind of a complete offering, and you can start with it for free and then grow into it to begin to use all of their tool sets.
Great. Any other questions from those watching? I know this has been incredibly helpful. If there's Are there any websites also that you would recommend people take a look at to say, hey, you know what, this website is wonderfully done. Take a look at this here. Any of those that you come to mind?
Yeah, so I actually, and maybe you could drop it in the chat for me, but on my site, we have some testimonials and case studies that really kind of show what we've done as an agency, what the results are, and why. So you'll begin to see that. It's azaniah-israel.wsiworld.com. And even if you go directly to wsiworld.com under that section, I think that'll be a good spot because then you're able to go and look for your industry and for your issues that you're trying to solve in those case studies. That'd be a great place to start.
Perfect. And let's say that someone has an interest in having you all develop their site. Where could they find you? I know we just kind of gave Is there an email address though?
Yeah, you can email me directly at a.israel@wsiworld.com. And if you're on my site or on my LinkedIn, I have all the buttons and call to actions for you to get to me quickly, to book an appointment without having to ask any questions. That's available for you as well. So please check me out on LinkedIn, Azaniah Israel, on LinkedIn as well.
Perfect. So if there's one thing I hope that people take away from today, it's this. Your website is not just a box that you set up and you check and you're done with it. It is an employee, as Anaya said, and if it's not doing its job, it's okay to pause and to fix that. You don't need perfection. You need intention. You need clarity. You need alignment with what you're actually trying to build. As Anaya, thank you so much for breaking this down in a way that feels doable and not overwhelming and feels human. And for everyone listening, don't leave overwhelmed. Just pick one thing. If you have a website and you're like, it's not where I want it to be yet, just one thing. Start there, get help. If you know that that is not your domain and not your area of expertise, don't waste your time on it. My biggest recommendation is pay the people that do that work. They're good at it. They get it done quickly, and devote your time to what you do best, and that's running your business. As and I, anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, I just want to encourage you all to, work towards your goals, but make sure that you get the right counselors around you. The reason why I call my company Sirach Consulting is Sirach represents a book of wisdom that has a key verse in it that says, "Let reason and counsel go before every enterprise." So I want to be that voice of reason. So if any of you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm willing to have an initial call to kind of go over any questions that you may have toward that, because this website conversation is should not be held in isolation. It should be considered in your full strategy of how you're going to present yourself to the world. And that includes your website, your social media platforms, your podcasting, and all of that. All of that plays in together. So if we can create a proper strategy, it's almost impossible to fail.
And keep in mind that your website is not a set it and forget it. If you've got a website that was set up for 15 years ago, 5, 10 years ago, you need to be changing that. You need to be adding to it, because it does become stale. And that is what people see whenever they go out there to contact you. If this conversation sparked questions for you, that's a great thing. That means you're thinking like a business owner, not just a brand builder. So thank you all for being here, and we will see you on the next session. We've got one more session coming up tomorrow for Members Week, wellness session, and that is at noon. So if you haven't had a chance, please go out and register for that. And thank you. As and I thank you, brother.
Hey, thank you. Good to have you.
All right, have a good one.